Is your teen overwhelmed, unmotivated, or constantly reacting emotionally? It seems like everything is one huge drama to them. They're smart, they're capable, but something is getting in the way. Stress, self doubt, distractions, or emotional overwhelm. It's not a discipline problem, it's an emotional skill gap. Living with Grace teaches teens how to regulate their emotions, build confidence, communicate effectively, and develop real discipline using a proven framework built for today's world. Hi, I am Dr. Kemi Popola, educator and mindset coach with over 20 years of experience in education and helping students succeed in school and in life. When I was an assistant principal, I detested suspending children because they had gotten into some type of altercation that is as a result of a lack of emotional intelligence or emotional resilience. And so that is why I created the Living with Grace mindset course for teenagers. So if everything I said just now, speaking directly to you about your teenager, I want you to click below to enroll your teen today and give them tools they'll use for life. I cannot wait to see you inside the course. Hey, welcome back to the Gracefully Growing Podcast, where we have real talk, real growth, and real life tools to help you thrive in school and in life. Hello, I am Dr. Kemi Popola, author, educator, speaker, and gratitude advocate, as well as mom to an amazing 13-year-old sunshine. I am excited that you choose to tune in each week to continue on this journey to exploring the 5 key principles that will guide you to a fulfilling life. And these 5 key principles are gratitude, reflection, affirmation, connections, and empathy. If this is your first time here, each week we break down how to live with intention and thrive in this wild journey called teen life using the 5 key principles that I mentioned previously. We have a little bit of a celebration today. We made it to 2,000 subscribers. Now, help me get to 3,000 subscribers by making sure that you click that subscribe button. Be sure to share my content with your circle so that they can subscribe as well. Also, once you're subscribed, make sure you turn on your notification bell so that you will receive a notification whenever I drop a new episode. And I drop new episodes every Monday morning. All right, let's go ahead and grab your journal so that you can take some notes. If you do not have a journal, make sure you grab a notebook. If you do not have a notebook, open the Notes app on your phone so you're able to take some notes. What are we talking about today? We're talking about something that so many teenagers feel, but do not always know how to explain. And that is, what do I do when I don't know who I am yet? That question is deeper than most people think because sometimes it is not loud. Sometimes it does not sound like I'm having an identity crisis. Sometimes it sounds like I don't know what I like anymore. Everybody else seems so sure of themselves. I act different around different people. I don't know if this is the real me. Why do I feel lost? Why do I feel like I'm still figuring everything out while everybody else already has a personality a style, a plan, a purpose, and a matching aesthetic. And listen, if that's you, you're not weird. You're not broken. You're not behind. Or you're not failing at life. You are growing. And growth can feel confusing before it feels clear. So, in today's episode, we're going to break this all the way down. And we're going to talk about the pressure to know who you are, why this stage feels hard, 4 real life examples you can relate to, and what not to do when you feel lost. Finally, I'm going to provide you with 7 tips that actually helps when you don't know who you are yet. And we will now use the GRACE framework to help you stay grounded while you're becoming who you are. So take a deep breath. Here's the thing. You do not need to have your entire identity figured out by age 15, 16, 17, or even 25. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about the pressure to know who you are. That's what we're going to start with. A lot of teenagers feel pressure to already know who they are. And honestly, that pressure can come from a lot of places. It comes from school. Let's start with school. People are always asking you, perhaps, what do you want to be when you grow up? What college do you want to go to? What career do you want? What are your strengths? What are your goals? And you're like, uh, honestly, I'm just trying to get through school and I need a snack, a nap, or something, right? Because how are you supposed to map out your future when sometimes you don't even know what mood you're going to wake up in? Then there's social media. Because here's the thing, online, it just really, really looks like everybody got their stuff together. They have a whole brand, a whole aesthetic around their personality. Online, somebody is the sporty one. Someone is the calm, clean girl with the straight A, organized one. Someone is the funny one. Someone is the baddie entrepreneur. One is at sea, and they somehow know how to have perfect lighting in every photo. And now you're sitting here like, cha, am I the overwhelmed one? Is that my brand? Let's talk about social media for a minute. Social media can make identity look neat, polished, and complete. But real life is not like that at all. Real life is messy. Real life is awkward. Real life is trying one version of yourself and then outgrowing it 3 months later. Real life is liking one thing in January and feeling completely different by June. Now, that doesn't mean that you're fake. It means you're discovering yourself. And that matters because a lot of teens think confusion means something is wrong. But let me say this to you. Confusion is part of the growing process. Let me repeat. Confusion is a part of the growing process. So you are not behind because you're still learning yourself. You are human, and that is part of growth. Now, let us talk about why this stage feels so hard for a lot of teenagers. Not knowing who you are yet can feel scary because identity gives people a sense of security. When you know what you like, what you value, what matters to you, and what kind of person you want to be, you feel more stable. But when that feels unclear, you can start feeling unsure in everything. You start to second guess your own choices. And you start to wonder, do I actually like this? Am I doing this because I want to or because other people expect me to? Is this really me? And why do I keep changing? And for teenagers, This makes so much sense because your teen years are literally a season of development. Let's look at it. Your brain is still growing. Your experiences are shaping you. Your emotions feel big. Your friendships change. Your interest shifts. Your confidence rises and falls. Your self image is definitely still being built. You are literally under construction. So, of course, there are moments when you will feel uncertain. This is also why you will feel like different versions of yourself in different spaces. At school, you will be one version. At home, another version. Around close friends, yet another version. Around friends, around people who you are trying to impress, a whole character may appear. That does not automatically mean that you are fake. We call this code switching. And sometimes it means that you are adapting. Sometimes it means you do not feel safe enough yet to fully be yourself. Sometimes it just really still means that you're figuring out what parts of you are real and what parts of you is a performance. And that, my friend, can be exhausting. Yo, pretending takes energy. Performance takes energy. Trying to be what everybody else wants takes energy. And what happens with a lot of teens is eventually they just go, listen, I don't know who I am anymore because I've been trying to be what works for everybody. And that is a real feeling. Let's make this a little bit more practical. I'm going to share 4 life examples. Let me know if any of them resonates with you. Example number 1, the friend group shape shifter. You laugh at jokes you don't even find funny. You pretend to like music you do not actually listen to. You start saying things like, "Oh, that's so me," when it's actually not you at all. Why? Because you want to belong. And that's human. Human beings always crave a sense of belonging. But after a while, you may get home and start to feel weird. Like, why did I even act like that? That uncomfortable feeling may be your inner self saying, yeah, that wasn't really us. Example number 2, the personality that you borrowed from the internet. Maybe you start building your whole identity around trends. Yeah. So then your style will change each week based on what is popular. Your opinions start to sound suspiciously like your favorite influencer. Your goals are now based on what looks impressive online. And now suddenly you're trying to become a gym girl, a content creator, a skincare expert, a straight A student, and a business owner and minimalist, all by the end of 1 week. Listen, that is not self discovery. That is exhaustion with good lighting. Don't do it. Example number 3, the achiever with no idea who they are. Some teens look put together from the outside. They got the good grades, they're responsible, they're helpful, they're involved in all kinds of things. They appear successful. But inside, they may be asking themselves, if I'm not performing, who am I? If I'm not the smart one, then what am I? If I disappoint people, will they still value me? That is identity that is built on achievement instead of truth. Example number 4, the teen going through change. Maybe the old version of you doesn't fit anymore. You used to care what everyone thought. You used to like certain things. You used to be quieter. louder, more outgoing, more unsure, more immature. Now, suddenly you find yourself changing. And change can feel lonely when the people around you are still expecting the old version of you. Sometimes not knowing who you are yet is really about this. You are in between versions of yourself, not who you used to be, not fully who you are becoming, just in between. And in between seasons can feel awkward, but they're also powerful. Now, let's talk about what not to do when you feel lost, when you don't know who you are yet. And these are some common mistakes that makes it worse. Mistake number one, you panic. Don't panic. Feeling unsure does not mean your life is falling apart. It means you're in a season of discovery. Number two, you force an identity just to feel stable. That's not something that you do. When some people pick labels, aesthetics, their friend groups, and goals too fast because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. So they want to force an identity in order for them to feel stable. But what happens is a rushed identity can become a trap. You do not want to become a whole personality overnight. Mistake number three, you let other people define you. Now, why would you do that? Now, here's the thing, people will try. They will call you the quiet one, the smart one, the dramatic one, the nice one, the athlete, the weird one, the emotional one. Hear me when I say this to you. People often define you by the version of you that is easiest for them to understand. So don't let people define you. Mistake number four, you compare your beginning to someone else's highlight reel. I did a whole episode on this. A person can look confident and still be confused. A person can look sure of themselves and still be performing. Never ever assume everyone else knows exactly who they are just because they know how to pose. Remember, online personalities are giving you carefully curated images, videos of themselves. And then here you go, comparing yourself to that carefully curated material. Finally, number five, you shame yourself for changing. Now, why would you do that? Changing does not mean you were fake before. It means you're growing now. That's the big difference. So never you shame yourself for doing what comes naturally to you. You are allowed to change. The only thing that is constant in life, young people, is change. So don't shame yourself for doing the thing that is natural. Now, let us talk about what do you then do when you don't know who you are yet. I'm going to provide you with 7 tips, practical tips, what to do when you don't know who you are yet. We're going to start with tip number 1. I want you to get curious instead of being critical of yourself. Let me explain. Instead of you saying, why am I like this? Or what is wrong with me? Or why can't I just figure it out? I want you to instead say, what feels true to me right now? Or what feels true for me right now? What drains me? What brings me peace? What do I enjoy when nobody is watching? What matters to me? What version of me feels forced? What version of me feels natural? You do not ever discover yourself by attacking yourself. You discover yourself by paying attention. So once you've asked yourself the questions, now pay attention. Pay attention to yourself. Number 2, Notice what you do for approval. This one is big because I want you to ask yourself, what do I do just so people will like me? Where do I shrink myself? Where do I perform? When do I feel the pressure to be more or less of something? Sometimes identity confusion is not because you have no self. It's because your real self has been buried under pressure. So I want you to notice what you do in order to get people's approval. Tip number 3, I want you to experiment. Feel free to experiment without judgment. Don't judge yourself. Try things, new hobbies, new routines, new clothes, new makeup, new boundaries, new interest, new ways of speaking up for yourself. Meet new friends. Try new friendship dynamics. You are allowed to explore. That's what literally this time of your life is. It's all exploration. Being a teenager is not supposed to be one big, long audition for your final adult personality. You are not a finished product. You are a person in progress. Listen, I am 53 years old and I am still a person in progress at my big age. So, yes, you are allowed to be a person in progress. Tip number 4, pay attention to peace. Yeah, I will continue to preach this. Protect your peace at all costs. A lot of teenagers chase what is impressive, but peace is a clue. What makes you feel calm, grounded, and honest? What spaces make you feel like you can exhale? What people make you feel accepted instead of edited? They matter. That matters. That matters. Tip number 5, I want you to stop asking, who am I? Like it needs one perfect answer. You are not one thing. You are not one mood. You are not one interest. You are not one label. You can be thoughtful and funny at the same time. You can be strong and sensitive. You can be creative and disciplined. You can still be growing and still be valuable. Identity is not always one sentence. It is a collection of truths you are learning to trust. Number 6, build your identity through values, not just vibes. This one is important. Aesthetic is cute. Style is fun. Music taste is cool. But values, they go deeper. Ask yourself, do I value honesty? Do I value loyalty? Do I value kindness? Do I value growth? Do I value peace? Do I value excellence, creativity, faith, respect, courage? Because here's the thing, when trends change, your values can keep you grounded. Finally, tip number 7, let your identity be built by patterns, not pressure. What do you consistently care about? What kind of person do you keep trying to become? What choices keep feeling meaningful to you? That tells you more than one random emotional day ever will. Because let's be honest, if we build identity based on one bad event on a Tuesday, half of us would conclude that we are a chaotic gremlin with no purpose. And that would be so unfair. So, very quickly, let us walk through how to use the GRACE framework when you feel lost, uncertain, or disconnected from yourself. This part is so important because the goal is not for you to magically figure out your whole self overnight. The goal is for you to stay grounded while you are growing. And we will begin with gratitude. Gratitude is that thing that helps you to shift your perspective from panic to purpose. When you feel lost, the thing that happens in your mind is you focus on what you don't know. And when your thoughts stay there, you can start feeling empty, behind, or broken. Gratitude interrupts that spiral, not by pretending that everything is okay, not by forcing fake positivity, no, but by helping you notice what is already true and good. Gratitude is the thing that grounds you in evidence. Let's talk about reflection. Reflection is where self-discovery gets honest. This is the part where you pause and really check in with yourself. Not the version of you that performs, not the version of you that tries to please everybody, not the version of you built for survival, the real you. Reflection helps you to separate what you truly want from what others expect of you, what feels natural from what feels forced, what aligns with your values from what only gets approval. Here's the thing. A lot of teens are moving so fast that they do not stop long enough to notice themselves, but reflection creates space. I always say that reflections is that thing that allows you to take responsibility and accountability for your piece of the mess. It helps you to ask yourself, when do I feel most like myself? When do I feel most fake? What kind of environment brings out the best in me? What drains me? What do I keep pretending to like? What am I afraid people will think if I'm fully myself? So reflection is not about judging yourself. It's about understanding self. Now let's move on to affirmations. Affirmations help you to speak to yourself with truth while you're still becoming. When you do not know who you are yet, it's easy to talk to yourself in harsh ways and harsh tones. You say things to yourself like, I'm so awkward. I am weird. I am behind. I am doing life wrong. I should know this by now. Everyone else is ahead of me. Says who? I want to remind you, your inner voice matters. Because the way you speak to yourself shapes the way you see yourself. Did you hear what I said? The way you speak to yourself shapes the way you see yourself. Affirmations are not about lying to yourself. They're about replacing fear-based thoughts with grounded truths. You do not have to say, I know exactly who I am and my life is perfect. That's not what we're talking about. That's not even believable. But what you can say to yourself are these. It's okay to still be figuring myself out. I do not need to rush my growth. Who I am is unfolding. I am allowed to change. I can explore without judging myself. I am becoming, and that matters. The thing that affirmations do for you is that they help you to create emotional stability. And that helps you to stop talking to yourself in a negative manner. Let's move on to connections. You are not supposed to do hard things alone. I will keep repeating it. Connection reminds you that identity is not discovered in isolation. Yes, self-reflection matters. Yes, quiet time matters. But healthy connection matters too, because sometimes the right people reflect you back to yourself. Now, hear me when I say this. Not every relationship helps you grow. So some of you might need to do a friend circle audit today. I'm just saying. Some relationships make you perform. Some make you shrink. Some make you question yourself constantly. Some only accept the version of you that entertains them, helps them, or stays small for them. But real connections feel different. Real connections give you room to be honest. It gives you room to make mistakes, to laugh, to ask questions, to change, to not have it all together. And when you're trying to figure out who you are, you need people who do not punish you for growing. Let's talk about what a healthy connection can look like. That healthy connection can look like you're talking to a trusted friend, opening up to a parent, a mentor, a counselor, an older sibling, your favorite auntie, uncle, your grandma, your grandpa, members of your community, somebody at your church or your mosque, wherever you worship, right? Spending time with people who bring you peace. Peace is important. At every stage in life, peace is important. Joining spaces where you can explore your interests without pressure. So connection is really, really important. Finally, we talk about empathy. Empathy is giving yourself the same compassion you would give to someone else. And honestly, a lot of teens are much kinder to their friends than they are to themselves. Think about it. If your friend came to you and said to you, I don't know who I am, I know you're not going to say, yeah, that's really embarrassing. I need you to figure that thing out immediately. You're not going to say that. You're probably going to say something like, you're okay. You are growing. You don't have to rush this. Oh, you might even say, yeah, you're not the only one. I'm starting to figure stuff out too, right? So empathy reduces shame. And shame is one of the biggest things that keeps teenagers stuck where they are. Because what shame tells you is you should already know this by now. Yeah, you're weird for feeling this way. Or my favorite one is, yeah, something wrong with you. But empathy lets you admit this is hard and I'm still worthy. It makes sense that I feel confused. I am learning. I can be gentle with myself while I grow. So empathy is important. I'm going to give you a simple reset that you can use anytime you feel lost, starting with gratitude. Name 3 things that are already true about you that you appreciate. So, for example, for me, my 3 things would be I care deeply about people. I never give up even when I'm confused about something. Another one is I am grateful for where I am right now and the growth that I've been able to accomplish. For reflection, I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. What feels forced in my life right now? What feels honest? And where do I feel most like myself? Affirmations, I'm going to repeat some of the ones from the last segment. Just say these 3. I am allowed to still be figuring myself out. My growth does not need to look perfect. I am becoming with patience. And feel free to make up your own. Connection. I want you to reach out to one safe person. Not everybody, just one. You can send a text to them. You can pick up the phone and call them. One safe person. Out of the people that I mentioned in the connection section, your teacher, a coach, a mentor, a church member that you truly trust, your favorite auntie, your favorite uncle. I'm a favorite auntie. Grandma, grandpa, your parents, your community, somebody in your community that you can trust. Reach out to that person. Finally, empathy. Place your hand over your heart and remind yourself this season is confusing, but I do not have to shame myself through it. That is the reset. It is simple, it is grounding, yet powerful. I want to offer some encouragement for everyone that is listening to me today and you feel behind or you feel like everyone knows who they are. That's not true. A lot of people only know how to look sure. That's different. And some people are confident because they have not questioned themselves yet. But questioning yourself is not always a weakness. Sometimes it is the beginning of depth, of honesty, of growth, of real identity. The goal is not to become a copy of what gets attention. The goal is to become someone you can be at peace with. And that kind of identity, it usually grows slowly over time. It usually grows slowly over time. It grows through the choices you make. It grows through honesty, through discomfort, through reflection, through healing, through trying again and again, through learning what fits and what does not. So, no, you may not have one perfect answer right now, but that doesn't mean that you're lost forever. It just simply means that you're still unfolding. And unfolding is not a failure, it is growth. If you are still with me so far, this is the part where I offer you the challenge for the week. And for this week, I'm going to call our challenge Meet Yourself This Week. For the next 3 days, I want you to do this. Journal one sentence each day. You can start with this statement. Today I felt most like myself when. Complete that statement. Number 2, catch one moment of performance. Notice when you're acting from pressure instead of truth. And then I want you to pause and ask yourself, was that really me? Or was that me trying to be accepted? Number 3, go back to the affirmations that I provided to you. Pick one to speak out loud. Number 4, connect with one safe person. Talk to one person that lets you build your real self. And finally, number 5, give yourself empathy. Give yourself grace. When you feel confused, do not insult yourself. Pause and reflect. And then say to yourself, this is a growing season, not a failing season. In closing, I want you to remember this. You do not have to have your identity fully formed to have value to the people around you. You do not need to be finished to be worthy. You do not need to rush who you are becoming. Remember, you are learning yourself, and that is sacred work. So be patient, be honest, be curious, and give yourself grace while you are growing. Thank you for spending the time with me. All right. Thank you for spending this time with me on the Gracefully Growing Podcast. Until next week, I want you to stay graceful, stay growing, and remember, you are not behind. You are becoming, and you got this. And know I'm cheering you on. See you next week. And that's a wrap for today's episode of Gracefully Growing. Thank you so much for tuning in and growing with me. Remember, living with grace means showing gratitude, taking the time for reflection, speaking powerful affirmations, building strong connections, and practicing daily empathy with yourself and others. If today's episode gave you something to think about, inspired you, or made you smile, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can also download today's free resource in the show notes and join our Gracefully Growing community on social media for more tools, encouragement, and real talk. Until next time, keep showing up for yourself, keep growing, and most of all, keep living with grace. I am Dr. Kemi. See you next week.